How you doing, guys, and welcome to my review on The Great Man, the Netflix original movie starring Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Regé-Jean Page, Jessica Henwick, and Billy Bob Thornton, directed by the Russo Brothers, Joe and Anthony Russo. The story is when the CIA's most skilled operative, Six, played by Ryan Gosling, whose true identity is known to none, accidentally uncovers dark agency secrets. A psychopathic former colleague, Lloyd Henson, played by Chris Evans, puts a bounty on his head, setting off a global manhunt by international assassins. My impression before watching this movie is directed by the Russo brothers. They directed it Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Civil War, Avengers Infinity War Endgame, with a promising storyline, great actions, sequences throughout. I figured this is going to be thrilling, action, adventurous, entertaining movie. When I watched this movie, the action sequences in this movie were very great room service, like very great. It's very thrilling, awesome. It's absolute blast to consume. But the storyline and the plot in this movie were cliche at best. I didn't see any great originality in this movie. Seems like it's similar to a lot of the past secret agency movie. It felt watching 2 hours worth of the Bourne trilogy. That is in condensed fashion. The Bourne Identity, the Bourne Supremacy, the Bourne Ultimatum. A lot of similarities to like Denny Carmichael, Regé-Jean Page played a character who was like a head of this Sierra assassination operation. It's almost like Project Treadstone in the Bourne trilogy, or Project Blackbire, and that was mentioned in the Bourne Ultimatum. Feels similar to that, so I don't saw this movie as a very creative storyline or plot. And the next thing I wasn't a fan of it is Ryan Gosling in general, because I feel him as an overrated actor. I'm not a fan of him at all. I don't necessarily watch any of his movie at all. I wasn't bothered by him when he done the action sequences, but when he talks, I feel he gets the impression of so average, not special. It's like very simplistic. He's so very soulless, and he's such a Malays actor that his performance is he's very like so average. For example, when he had a conversation, him the Six, he played a character, and Claire, he was talking very in conventional fashion, very simplistic. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm doing this and that." "Oh, remember today's Thursday." I'm just paraphrasing or like saying an example of what he said. I felt like somebody else who had done this character, like Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Ethan Hawke, who probably would have done better. The next thing I didn't like about it is the little backstory presentation on the feud between Lloyd Henson and Suzanne Brewer, played by Jessica Henwick. They were so antagonistic and they were argumental. They were fighting each other every time, and they didn't present that in terms of antagonistic feud between the two until the very end. So I was very disappointed on that part. And Billy Bob Thornton, he played Donald Fitzroy. He recruited the Six to CIA agency. He was very casted aside, and besides the opening scene in the very end, he was basically casted aside. He basically was one of the hostage that he was been taken by Lloyd Henson. So I felt Billy Bob Thornton's character was kind of wasted. Ana de Armas, she played Danny Miranda. She played a key supporting role helping Six throughout the course of the movie. Even she was very curious and doubtful at Six in terms of like Six's course of action, what he's doing, why he's hiding this evidence, that dark agency secret he discovered. But she was along the ride helping Six throughout. So She played a nice supporting role, and definitely probably my favorite moment, or should I say the character in this movie, is Chris Evans' character, Lloyd Henson. Like Chris Evans, we all know he played Steve Rodgers, Captain America. He gets the impression of very, very patriotic, great guy, old school kind of personality. In this movie, he was a very, very different character he played. I thought I really liked his performance. He was very torturous, very egotistic, kind of me guy. So I actually really enjoy watching him play somebody other than Captain America. He was very, very contentious and out of the line and very like off the book and very not covert. Like CIA has to be very covert, but his like always like bang and burn type of personality. He was like, okay, let's smash this boy out of here. Let's bomb this place up. He was kind of that guy, and I really enjoy Chris Evans' character in this movie, despite at times he showed unprofessional characteristic and very kind of childish moment in this movie. But in retrospect, I really like Chris Evans' character. And some of the things I like in this movie is like beautiful settings throughout, like Bangkok, Vienna, Austria, Prague, Czech Republic. I thought some of the scenes that presented in the movie, I thought was quite beautiful. It's very quite like astounding and majestic to see, and definitely the action sequences in this movie were very entertaining. First on the Bangkok scene where Six fights this guy, like fireworks blowing up and they're fighting in and around those fireworks. I thought it was very quite fighting sequences. The airplane scene I thought was quite exciting, although the editing on that part towards the end on that airplane action sequence is very kind of questionable. Why they didn't show the when Six landed? I don't know why they cut it out. So, but besides that, the airplane scene was pretty good. By far the best action sequence in the movie was the Vienna huge street shooting, mayhem, blow-ups, and tram train derailment when Six is jumping off from a tram train to the sports car. Danny Miranda, he was driving it. By far that action sequence is the best, entertaining, absolute blasting moment. Hospital fighting scene was quite impressive. And the final Croatia mansion scene, a bunch of blow-ups, shootings, I thought it was more conventional fashion, but it's very entertaining. The action sequences in this movie were like Russo Brothers specialty. Great, very, very popcorn, blasting, fashion type of action sequences. So my grade on this movie is 3.5 out of 5 star. I figure the story, plot, script in this movie could have done better, could have been more originality to it. Instead, it was more like kind of flawed, complicated. It's like a similar to some of the past CIA spy movies. I didn't quite like the premise story in this movie, although it's a great action adventure, thrilling, entertaining popcorn blast movie. By far, Chris Evans' character I was very entertained by. You get to see his different perspective other than playing Captain America, Steve Rodgers. So there you have it. That's my review on The Gray Man, the Netflix original movie. What do you think about it? Leave your thoughts. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video, and see you in the next one.